If you only knew the power of the dark side. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. He told me enough. He told me you killed him. No. I am listening to Cosmere Chronicles, the podcast where we follow two first-time readers, Justin and Sheta, and we chronicle their journey through Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere series. On today's episode, we'll be chronicling Mistborn, the Hero of Ages, chapters 34 through 39. So now let's throw it over to our host of Cosmere Chronicles. This is Joe. Thank you, Joe. Yep, as you heard, Cosmere Chronicles. That's the name of this podcast this week. Name has not changed yet. And I am the other Joe. And once again, I am joined by Sheta. Justin could not be here this week.
Yeah, sorry. Couldn't make it.
No, never mind. Justin is here. Sheta could not be here this week.
Yeah, I had a thing, so couldn't come.
All right, they both lied to me. But
Just kidding, we're both here.
oh man, that's such a lame opening. But anyway, so we're here this week, and yeah, we're doing shit. And once again, I'll just ask you some random ass questions. So we will start off. Who is your favorite Muppet?
Muppet?
Oh, that's easy. I've always liked Grover. Grover, my favorite.
Do those count?
What, do Muppets count as Muppets?
I mean,
Yeah,
do the Sesame Street ones count?
They're
He's in a
Muppets.
Muppet Christmas Carol, Justin. He counts.
Was he really?
Yeah.
I don't think he was.
No.
Yeah, he
They
was.
didn't usually cross those over, Sheta.
Okay,
There
let
was-
me look something up.
Are you
Okay.
sure
There
you're
was
not
the-
thinking of Gonzo?
No, there was.
Gonzo is the- Okay, Joe, delete that. I'll just say my favorite.
Oh, it's not Grover.
Yeah, my favorite has always been Gonzo.
That's a totally different character, Sheta.
I was thinking of him. He's blue. He's
Grover's
always
green.
cool.
No, Grover's
No,
blue.
no.
Yeah.
No, Grover's green.
No, he's blue. I'm looking at a picture of him right now. He's blue. He's always been blue.
Oh, yeah, never mind. I was thinking a completely different one from Sesame
Which
Street
one were you
myself.
thinking of?
Ah,
Man,
yeah, I was
everyone's
thinking
fucking this
Oscar.
up.
Okay, it's been a fucking while since we watched Sesame Street. Okay, give me a break.
Oh,
Oh man, we just shamed. Everyone just got shamed here.
This question just popped out of nowhere. So, I have not thought of the Muppets in a long time. So,
all right. Well, Justin, what's yours? Can you fix this?
Jeez. I kind of like the two guys who just make fun of him from the balcony.
What's it? Waldorf and Statler. Yep, that's what it is. Statler and Waldorf.
Otherwise, if we're counting Sesame Street Muppets, I will go Oscar the Grouch, probably.
Well, for me, I'll be basic, and like most of my answers are, and it'd be Kermit.
Kermit. Oh,
And then second would probably be Rolf, but his character was retired for a long time after Jim Henson died. I think they use him now, though, but for a long time after Jim Henson died, they stopped using him, or he'd just be in like the background and nobody would voice him.
I don't remember which
I
one
picked
that was.
He's
Rolf
the bear.
was the dog that played the piano.
Oh, he was the dog. God damn it! Now I've ruined my Muppet knowledge too.
The bear was
Frozen.
Fonzie.
Yeah, no, I know which one it is now.
Like, I'll know the Muppets better than the Sesame Street stuff. That's where I kept fucking up.
Can I pick Michael Caine as my favorite Muppet, Joe?
No,
Oh,
He
not
was
a
an
Muppet.
honorary Muppet, though.
He was
He
an
was the most-
actor in a Muppet movie.
he was the most realistic-looking Muppet, though. In that
Yeah, they
movie.
did a really good job.
Yeah,
they
they
probably
did a
had
great
like
job.
five or
I'm
six.
surprised you're not
handlers
doing
to
like
play him.
Orson Welles or something like that.
Well, I just saw Muppet Christmas Carol recently, so it's in my head.
It was Orson Welles, right? That was in the Muppet movie.
Yeah, he was. Yep, at the end. Yeah, I forgot about that, actually. Unless we fucked that up now, too. Sorry to all our Muppet fans out there.
Yeah, it was Orson Welles. Okay, and So for our second question, where maybe we can redeem ourselves, do you want to be happy or do you want to be angry? We'll ask you.
Happy.
I kind of want to be angry.
Justin, no.
Great. Now we're stuck with happy and
Let's
angry.
call up Nick and ask what he wants to do. We can do our tiebreaker.
You know what? We'll just go angry because we did happy for the first question.
I wasn't happy.
Well, we'll continue with last week saying because we said our most hated MCU movie. Now let's go with your most hated MCU character or
character
or your adaptation of the character.
That's a tough
adaptation.
choice, man.
Oh my god. I already said my. Okay, let me think a little bit though.
Oh, MODOK for me. Yes, 100%. I like me some comic MODOK. I don't like comedy MODOK. A lot of close seconds, though.
At least they attempted to make him kind of like MODOK. They didn't.
No, they attempted to make him look kind of like MODOK. They did not attempt to make him like MODOK at all.
That's closer than others.
That is closer than others, and yet I wish they would have just made him look totally different. I'd be less annoyed if he was different, because I'd just say, oh, it's just a different character. Maybe someday I can get a real version. But we all see how well that goes when you wait for that.
It doesn't happen. I'll just go with Namor, which is how they pronounced Namor in that movie.
No, Joe, there was no Namor in that movie. What are you talking about? It was no more.
Namor? Like no more.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, because he has no love in his life, just Joe. That was a major part of Namor's character in origin. Not kidding.
Well, let me think. So for me, most hated character, this one maybe is gonna be an unpopular one. MJ from the Spider-Man movies.
Oh no!
Oh, they're gonna come at you now, Joe.
I like the actress. I would have liked the character if her name was not MJ. They would have just called her Michelle, like it was in the first movie. It would have been completely fine.
Yeah, at the end when she says, "My friends call me MJ," that was a visible groan there.
That was pretty cringy for me.
And then it doubled down the later ones. They tried to take the name MJ, and then her character was like the exact opposite of Mary Jane.
And then they gave her the last name Watson too, Michelle Jones Watson.
Oh God.
Yeah, they did that. I think that was in the third movie. They said that.
Like instead of a character that's all about life and stuff and trying to have fun, granted, doing that to try to cover up insecurities and trauma, but still trying to have fun, they made her a character that's all about death and all this stuff. It's like that is not MJ.
I wanted to get some light protesting in when we get there. That kind of character.
That was before she said her name was MJ. That's when she was still Michelle.
That's true.
That was fine. If she could have just been Michelle, I would have been completely fine with it. Fact then all of a sudden it became, here's our replacement Mary Jane Watson. It's like, I just wanted Mary Jane again. I can't get her in the comics, and now I can't get her in the movies either. My only source is the goddamn video game. Oh, okay. Otherwise, besides that, it might have to be the Mandarin.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
The only difference is that the Mandarin was only a disappointment in one movie.
I still want magic rings, man. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was the best, but...
I like the character in Shang-Chi. I do not like the character as the Mandarin. That's how I'd say it. Where in Iron Man 3, I don't even like the character.
They were in Shang-Chi, they should have just called him Fu Manchu.
100%, yes. That is who he really was, just with magic rings.
All right. Now, let's stop our Marvel bashing podcast that we seem to get onto a bunch.
Joe, you're asking us a positive MCU question next time.
I can. All right, then let's go with this. I'll just continue it. Who do you feel was the best adapted villain in there?
Like personal choice or objectively?
Personal choice.
Personal, even though he was totally different, I really liked how Mysterio was, because even though it was the hologram stuff and that shit, I really liked that he came in as a hero and tricked everyone into thinking he was, but turned out to just be an asshole using illusions to trick everyone. Even though he had all the stuff with Tony Stark and it was all different, that would be my personal choice. I was very surprised by that. with how Spider-Man villains usually are in those movies.
Oh, that was mine too.
That's yours too?
Yeah.
You can't double
But
up.
I'll pick a different one.
Well, I'll triple up and say that Mysterio was going to be my choice as well.
Well, there we go. Okay.
I was worried when they were going to put him in there that they were going to make it be like, nope, he actually has powers instead of just illusions. But when they made it actually be illusions, like, all right, that's true to the character.
I never trusted him, but they did get me to the point where I was starting to worry about that while watching. I never trusted him, but I was always wondering. I mean, they could always do that shit.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if I need to choose a different one besides Mysterio, felt Red Skull was good. Does Surtur count?
I count him. Surprisingly for how relatively small of a role he had in that movie.
Or Batroc the Leaper?
If he had the mustache.
Man, I geeked out when he was in there. I was so happy.
You did. I remember that.
I was like, he's kicking. I'm so happy. All I wanted to see was him kick Cap, and that was perfect.
Yeah, some characters, it's that simple what we're looking for.
Yeah, I'm so easy to please.
Not really. You get really upset with adaptation.
That's just when she gets mad. She asks for so little.
That's why I get mad. It's like, why did you go do this entire other thing instead of the one minimum thing that would be required for it to be the character?
Because the writers need to make it their own.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, now we can leave.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our Marvel Comics podcast. We'll see you next week.
We also talked about Muppets.
Yeah.
Disney owns Muppets too. I hope you enjoyed our Disney podcast.
All right. Well, let's go into talking about Mistborn. So
which Disney
first,
will own soon.
Yeah, soon.
Well, actually, we were close, very close, to getting a Mistborn movie, but it fell apart last year.
Last year? Interesting.
Yeah, the end of every year, Brandon Sanderson always does what he calls a State of the Sanderson, where he just goes through all his different projects, where stuff's going. And then he did this whole thing with movies. And this past year, he did something where he broke down where movies were in like this big chart. Like, all right, this is at this point, like in the and he had the process. It's like steps 1 through 6, and and all of a sudden it's one thing where it's like where Mistborn was at. It's all they needed was the green light. They had like scripts made. They had like studio set up. They were getting actors lined up with the directors and stuff like that. All they needed is the green light from the studio, and they would have started filming. But then I guess he said that like the studio or the streaming service like producing it, they wanted to make certain changes that he wouldn't budge on, and stuff finally fell apart with it.
Man, good for him. I'm glad.
Well, yeah, I did like is the way he had it, where with all the steps. So he's like, all right, now this book, it's in this level, and a lot of the early ones, and he even points out that so many times when you hear, oh, the studio has picked up the rights to make this movie, it's still at like step 3. So even to get to filming, there's still a good chance that you're going to be years away from that.
Yeah.
But places like to announce it so far in advance.
And I think sometimes they pick up those rights just to make sure other services can't, even if they don't really have any good idea on how they want to adapt it.
I just want to call dibs.
Yeah, just in case they find they need one of whatever that is.
He like holds on to it. He's trying to keep the stuff like to make it the way he'd want it to, because
good.
He's seen how stuff go. Like he's a producer, one of the producers or executive producers for the Wheel of Time show. And he has not been too happy with how that's gone, because he said, and like I was listening to him in one of his podcasts, where for a while after Game of Thrones came out, all sorts of places were trying to make the next Game of Thrones. So instead of making a Wheel of Time show, they're making it like Game of Thrones. They're trying to keep the same tone and stuff.
Yeah, I believe that.
Mm-hmm. Morons.
So Witcher was like that too. Correct, Sheta?
Oh yeah, I feel like they only did a Witcher show for that and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, the games were really popular.
Well, that too. So that was just a bonus why they like quickly greenlit that. Like, even though, man, it's such a bummer.
Well, I remember when that. Like, yeah, and that's another thing. When the first Witcher season came out, that was really popular. A lot of people watched it. And I think it sort of fell off by the time season 2 came out.
Yep. I didn't watch it from just the
Yeah,
changes
because
I've
you
heard.
started reading the books afterwards, so you started not liking it anymore, right?
Yeah, it just that's how it goes most of the times. Well, I still hope for Timothée Chalamet to play Elend, so I do hope he holds out until that happens.
I wouldn't hold my breath on him playing it if it's going to be on a streaming network, Sheta.
That's what I'm saying. It's got to be a big Dune level movie, and then get him to play Elend, and then I'll be happy. I'll die happy.
You'll die happy. Jesus Christ.
Die
I thought
happy.
you were an Elend hater, Sheta. What happened to you? Now you're a huge fan?
If Timothy Chalamet plays him, yes. In my head,
Okay.
after I casted him, I was like, Ellen became my number one favorite after that.
All right, now Sheeta. Now, what if you get Timothée Chalamet as Elend, but you get Henry Cavill as Kelsier?
I'll just die. I'll just die happy. Oh my gosh.
Honestly,
Oh,
Cavell
that'd
would
be
be a
so
good
tough.
Kelsier. I never thought of that
Yes,
one.
he
That could
would.
work.
He's tall. He would just have to be blonde, which is the only thing. But I feel like he'd pull off being blonde.
Yeah, he did it in The Witcher.
That's
Yeah, what are you
white
talking about,
haired.
Sheta?
That's white haired. That's totally different. But yeah, you can go light then.
All right,
I want that to happen.
it won't. All
Yeah.
right, so now, all right, so
Joe,
let's get
don't
back.
spoil my dream.
So let's get back to Mistborn that we went through this week. But first, we'll have Justin do his recap of last
Oh,
week's
fuck.
chapters.
Somebody give me any kind of jumping point to remember which part of the book that was.
Vin and Ellen went to a ball.
Vin and Ellen went to a ball. They did. So they snuck in. They talked to Yaden. Was that the name? Or Yoden? Something like that.
It was Yeoman.
Yeoman. That was it.
Eden was a character in the first book that's dead.
He's
Oh,
the leader
okay.
of the Ska rebellion that hired them.
Oh, yeah. Okay. He told them that, or we got to see that he's not just a tyrant. He has his own beliefs about how these things work. Ellen tried to talk with him, but he was not interested. He did not like Ellen or Vin or anything they represented. Ellen talked to some of his old friends. Vin found that she was very good at the social manipulation at the ladies' tables. Sazed and Breeze and them went and talked to the citizen, and he was equally unwilling to allow anyone else in. Spook had his new powers, and he showed up and freaked them all out by sneaking up on them. But he did not reveal to them that he has new powers now, or that he's talked to Kelsier, even though he did talk with Sazed about it a bit. I feel like I'm forgetting a POV chapter.
Tensoon.
Did Tensoon have one? Is that when he ran away? Was
Yeah.
that last week? Okay, yes. Tensoon got his wolf body and implemented his brilliant plan to run away as a means of escaping, and it was able to work. And if something else besides that happened, I'm probably not going to remember it.
Get away.
10 points
Yeah.
to Gryffindor?
No, we'll give it to Ravenclaw.
Yes.
So this week we started part 3 of the book, and we went through chapters 34 through 39. So, once again, how'd you two feel about these chapters?
There was a lot of fucking stuff revealed very quickly to us in some of those codexes that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah. A lot of info.
So let's get into our review of these chapters. Yep, so this week we started part 3, which was called The Broken Skies. Chapter 34, Epigraph. Feruchemy, it should be noted, is the power of balance. Of the 3 powers, only it was known to men before the conflict between preservation and ruin came to a head. In Feruchemy, power stored up, then later drawn upon. There is no loss of energy, just a changing of the time and rate of its use.
Yeah, we got a lot there. I was very shocked to start with that.
Now with these, like with the last couple ones, it's terms that usually people you'll hear like go around them is that allomancy is like a net positive power because you're burning the metals and you're getting power into you. So you're just getting a positive. Hemalurgy is a net negative because you spike it through someone, and like it said last time, there's always a loss of power. So you won't be as powerful as the original. And then Feruchemy is a net neutral power because whatever you store is exactly what you can take out later.
Wow. Science.
Science.
Yeah.
It's
I do
not
feel
just
like I'm
that.
in
Learning
school
more about the
sometimes.
ruin and preservation concepts is really interesting to see just spelled out to us. It's so strange to have, the other codexes were written from people in the past more than we did, but it's in the past, so you don't feel it. Whatever this one is, where it's written with all this knowledge of the things that's going on without any of our characters actually knowing it, is so weird to read. I feel like I'm cheating. I feel like I'm getting spoilers with every codex.
Yeah. It's like, oh, am I supposed to learn that?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's an interesting feel to have, or feeling to have in one of these kind of books.
A lot of times I notice is that so many times, like, you'll see something happen in a chapter, and then the very next epigraph will be some stuff that will also partially explain what just happened.
Yeah.
So now into the chapter proper. And we're back to Marsh. And Marsh arrives in a village that is nearby Mount Tyrion. And Marsh is still allowing Ruin to just use and have control over his body. So that way he can still lie low and strike when Ruin doesn't expect it. As he goes to the village, it's filled with struggling people who are hungry. But Marsh ignores them and just walks towards a mansion. He kills the singular guard that's in front of the mansion, and then once he's inside, he kills multiple servants. And then he finds a man that's just in a drunken stupor. And Marsh is annoyed that the man is drunk because now he won't be able to relish in the man's fear as he kills him.
It's so fascinating to me that everything Marsh thinks here, they even say, his thoughts are basically Ruin's thoughts. So we really get a sense for what Ruin feels about all this horrible stuff happening.
Yeah.
Like our big bad entity, if it's even bad, I don't know. But like, it's interesting to get glimpses of it without any of our cast having actually met it face first. If it's even a thing that can happen.
I just feel so sorry for Marsh.
You mean because you know he probably would rather not do this stuff?
Yeah, to just be kind of helpless in there, and just kind of taking it, being like violated and like forced to do all this stuff and witness all this stuff.
Hey, he's having a good time.
No. And to also be strong enough to keep a little bit of your sanity and yourself like safe.
I was
I
trying
just
to
don't
imagine what that would feel like, to revel in all this
yeah.
stuff. Are you going to be able to keep that little bit of rebellion in the back for real? Or is it going to get lost amongst all this, Really
Mhm.
curious to see.
And Marsh kills the man by stabbing him in the heart with a bronze spike. Hemalurgy works best if you stab directly through someone's heart into the receiver's body, because then you'll wind up losing less power. By making a spike and then putting it into someone else far away, they gain less power. As Marsh leaves the mansion, some Ska come up to him and ask for, them, the Obligators and the Inquisitors, to return. The Ska say that they will worship the Lord Ruler again, and they ask Marsh for food. But Marsh tells them they have bigger things to worry about. An hour after leaving the village, Marsh looks back as the top of Mount Tyrion blows and lava flows down towards the village.
Like, geez, we got all this other shit. Now we got to deal with volcanoes. Like, that sucks.
End of the world, all the shit's going down.
Mm-hmm.
Everything bad
Like,
that could happen will happen.
yeah. I'm starting to think that what we've thought is what the apocalypse looks like in this world. We haven't even seen the beginning of what, like, Ruin's vision for the world is.
Yeah. We'll see all seven like plagues come.
Was a volcano one of the plagues?
No, but it's this world's version of them.
Ah, I see.
All we're getting is more ash, mist coming in, volcanoes going off, and earthquakes.
Is that all?
It's just fuck y'all.
Yeah, basically. I think the four horsemen of the apocalypse might be a better comparison, Sheta, than the plagues. Because the plagues did create frogs and stuff, right? So that's...
I think the plagues already happened, like ash falling, and all the crops dying. Mist race instead of locusts, maybe. You know?
Well, we haven't seen an army of attacking mist wraiths yet.
Oh, one of the koloss.
True.
We learn in these chapters that the koloss are not mist wraiths. That'd be
They're not
Kandra.
mist race. They are, yeah. They are, well, that's the army, is all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. I get what you're saying.
I'm not trying to go ahead yet, Joe. That's spoilers.
Yeah, also, I don't know what you're talking about, Joe. I'm reading as you're recapping, so I only know what's happened so far.
All right. Anything else from this Marsh chapter you want to go over?
Just, I always feel really sad reading these Marsh chapters because I know how little he'd want to be this character that he currently is.
Yeah. Also, I always forget that he is Kelsier's actual brother, and that's really sad to me.
All right, on to chapter 35. Hemalurgy is a power about which I wish I knew far less. To ruin, power must have an inordinately high cost. Using it must be attractive, yet must sow chaos and destruction in its very implementation. In concept, it is a very simple art, a parasitic one. Without other people to steal from, hemalurgy would be useless.
So this person, I believe they said or implied, I don't know how much of this you can even say, but that they were, Sheta, involved. They knew of the power and what it felt like to draw the power, right, Sheta? Or am I remembering that wrong?
The epilogue person?
Yeah. Epigraph person, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. What? Sorry.
I'm trying to
What was your
remember
question?
what clues we have to to who they are, and I remember them
Oh,
talking. They know what it was like to draw the power, and they talked about that shit, right? And the hero stuff in the early part of the book. Yeah, assuming it's even one person writing all of them. I mean, it could be a group.
I think so.
Because like that's why at first we just assumed it was Vin, but this person talks nothing like Vin at all, you know. But then
Yeah.
I believe Elend was referenced at one point, telling us it's not Elend, because obviously you'd
Yeah.
assume he's the one who writes like this.
All
Yeah,
right,
I know.
here.
It was
So
like I'm glad because Ellen was saved that day, basically.
yeah,
So
All
they
right, I
talked about
can't.
him.
Here, I'll read the epigraph from chapter 2. Holding the power did strange things to my mind. In just a
that
few
was it.
moments,
Yep.
I became familiar with the power itself, with its history, and with the ways it might be used. And there's more, but I'll just say that part.
Because this sounds to me like, I don't know, Sazed or somebody, Sazed or Elend, like the way they'd write and talk, especially the way they talk. It's so proper and stuff.
Yeah, the wording sounds like Sazed
Hmm.
or at least like a terrace person because they still say the phrasing like I think, which is only been used by terrace people and stuff so far.
Mm.
Do they? Or am I making that up? Do they ever say I
I have
think?
no idea about that. That's all you.
I think they said that once, which made me think, oh, it's
I think
Sazed.
Joe has to be very careful about how he answers any questions here, so I think we're on our own with that.
Has has any of the epigraphs used the phrase "I think"?
That's too broad. We'll
I'll have
keep
to go
watching.
through
We
and
don't have
look.
enough. I don't think we have enough yet to construct who it could be, if it's even any of these people. Maybe it's Damu.
It could be. He talks like that.
It's not Damu. That I guarantee.
No, I told you last time, it's Goradel.
Yep. And I'm
And you
gonna
just got
say, is Goradel the guy I keep asking who's Goradel?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right, so into chapter 35. Spook brings Breeze to a bar, and he leaves Breeze there to gather information, because Spook is going to go to a poor part of town. Breeze objects to this, telling him, like, I've been gathering information with the poor people for a very long time. But then Spook suggests, all right, if you want to come, then we'll have to cover you in ash. And Breeze is like, yeah, never mind, and rescinds his objection. As Spook leaves the bar, Kelsier says that he never liked Breeze.
That was really fucking weird to me. That's my
this
evidence that this
isn't
isn't
Kelsier.
Kelsier.
He
Because
loved Breeze.
Kelsier, I don't know that he loved him. And I could say
He
that he
loved him.
disliked a lot of elements of him, but he trusted him enough to put him in charge of his group, you know?
Yeah. I yeah, that's just awful. I now see that we are not really going to get the answer to if this is really Kelsier until like the end of the book, but we will just keep getting these like weird clues that it is not our Kelsier and stuff and not him at all. Like, I can't believe you said that about Breeze. That is so
Yeah, that was
mean.
fucking weird. Either
Also
that
to
or we
say
didn't
it
know
like
Kelsier as well as we thought we did.
yeah, I mean like he was a noble, so I could see him like kind of being like about him, you know? But I'm also like, Kelsey is not the type of person who would just say like, I never liked him. Like, you know, why would he say that to Spook? Like, there's not really a good reason to say that, you know,
I'm on your
unless you
side,
like
Shita. It's weird.
want him to not like or trust Breeze. I don't know. I didn't like that. And I hope Spook is smart enough to figure out that this is not Kelsier.
I'm sorry, Sheta. Did you just say you hope Spook is smart enough for something?
He's
Like,
smart.
no offense to Spook, but he's a pretty simple guy.
He's not stupid.
Um,
Don't. He's gotten really wise over the years.
he's gotten powerful.
Okay, but he is a little bit street smart, though. You gotta admit that. He's a tin eye, you know?
He is
And,
street smart,
and
but
when
he
he was
did also
telling.
just walk up to the citizen's daughter and talk to her for like 20 minutes until they were like,
Sister.
who's that guy? Yeah, sister. Until they're like, who's that guy? And then got himself killed.
I can't believe the citizen has such a sister complex.
Does he?
Yeah, he does. Like, don't talk to my sister. I need to keep my sister safe at all times. I need to make sure she's by me at all times. Like, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
Definitely,
For the-
apparently.
For the little bit we saw, I would not call that a sister complex. We saw one
No.
scene.
Sheta has
Of him.
spoken.
I have spoken. Sister complex.
He wants to marry his sister. That's what Sheta has said. All heard it.
Spook heads over to Dern's hideout in order to ask him why he was telling everyone that Spook was a part of the survivors' crew. When Spook gets there, he sees some guards and friends, and Kelsier says that he may have to kill them. Instead, Spook goes up and just kicks the door off its hinges with pewter, which surprises even Spook, because he did not realize that's how strong he was going to be when he. So then he goes inside and he goes to the door that leads into the room that Dern's in, and he hits his shoulder against it without as much strength just to force it open. Dern just tells the guards to leave him and Spook alone so that way they can talk. After Spook asks him, Dern tells Spook that it was not that hard to figure out who Spook really was. And Dern also says the citizens' policies have been bad for the underworld business, and he would be willing to help Spook and his friends to take down Quellion. So Spook tells Dern to have one of his men meet up with Breeze at the bar. As Spook is leaving, one of Dern's men comes up to him, and he says that he and his sister's father was a noble, and now the woman that was watching over his sister sold her out to Quellion. His sister's now scheduled to be killed in a few days, and she's only 7 years old, so this man's asking for Spook's help. So Spook tells the man that if he can gather 10 men for Spook, then he will help. And that's the chapter.
It's really strange to be watching Spook turn into like a main character in front of our eyes.
These kind of things really bother me. This is why I didn't accept Elend at first, too. Characters who are introduced as main characters, like, farther in the story, I can't accept them as real main characters
But you
in my
love
head.
Spook.
I know, but I loved him as weird side
Sheta,
characters.
How do you ever watch like a second season of a TV show then?
I know. Well, I love the characters still, but in my head, I think they're like, oh, not the main character. Just like Butters in South Park. I
But
can't believe he
Butters
was
is your favorite
introduced.
character.
Yeah, I know he is. I always think he's like such a later character, but he was introduced like really early on, actually, like a lot earlier than I realized.
Yeah, he was basically like a background kid for quite a while.
Yeah, so it's just something in my head where like if they get introduced later as a bigger character, I'm always like, what are you doing in here? You're not the main character. Like,
Gee, you're elitist, huh?
I guess. Yeah. I guess, see, this is what happens, and with time, I accept that Elend is now a main character, and because there's no one else basically, and that's it. So now I'm like, it's really hard for me to accept Spook as a main character, and I don't know why. Does anyone else have this problem? Let me know in the comments.
I've never had that problem. I don't know what you're talking. No.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a thing.
Yeah. With me, usually if I'm reading a book series and I see like a minor character now as a POV in a later book, I get
Uh-huh.
excited.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, similar.
Like when I'm reading, Song of Ice and Fire, when I get to Storm of Swords and the first chapter is Jamie, it's like sweet. When I get for Feast for Crows and I see a Cersei chapter, sweet.
Yeah, it feels like the world's expanding to me.
I guess if it's a character like that where I'm like, ooh, I've always wanted to know more about this character,
You mean like Spook, Sheta?
But I didn't really want to know more about him.
But you
Like,
love him.
yeah, but I'm also like, I guess in my head, I'm like, he's a simple fella. Like, he doesn't need a chapter, you know? Like, I don't, I'm like, and then I'm all like, okay, Spook, what's your simple
So
life
you're
about, you
saying pretty
know?
much any
Like,
character has to work uphill to get your approval. Is that what you're saying?
I think so. Yeah. Because that's not even true. He's having so much weird shit happening. Like, the most interesting shit is happening to Spook right now.
Yeah, all the
And I'm
Kelsier stuff.
still not, like, accepting him. And I don't know why. Yeah. Well,
Sheta just wanted him to be the quiet, cute boy in the corner. She
yeah,
did
He
not
still
maybe.
want
is,
him to
though.
talk.
He is, and he's even better because he has powers and he's relevant to the plot, you know.
You know, actually, I bet this is what it is, Sheta. I bet it's when a character comes in and is like, hey, Sheta, I'm your new favorite character. And you're like, nuh-uh, I already have a favorite character. Because it seems like
Maybe.
anytime you feel that way, you're like, oh, Ellen's the best. I love Ellen all of a sudden. I think you just don't like being told who you like as a character.
Maybe. It's like
You're
I
like,
don't
I
yeah.
pick my favorite.
Yeah, you know, that very well may be it. So, yeah, I do struggle to yeah. Nope, that makes complete sense. I actually
So
love Spook
everyone can
and
keep that in
Elend.
mind. Yep. Next time Sheeta says she doesn't like a character, it's because it's her favorite character in the series.
What am I in like second grade where like I pick on the boy I like or something?
Yeah, maybe that's it.
You know, you had this, and then when Zane showed up in the second book, you loved him immediately, and he was a new guy.
Well,
That's
that's
true.
because that was the character she picked to be her favorite, right?
Yeah. Oh, and he was also like an underdog. Like everyone hated him because he was crazy and stuff, you know. Like
You are
maybe I'm like
describing
that.
Spook,
But they love Spook. They think he's a little weird, but he's accepted.
but he's always talking about how he's just there. It's just poor old Spook. Nobody cared.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I can like different multiple types, you know? Bad boy, obvious bad boy types, and whatever Spook is.
All right. Anything else from this chapter?
That's not Kelsier, and I can't wait for him to discover it and then kill him.
You say that, but if Spook's going to be propped up as a major character, you know, and he's got some voice whispering in his head, and a little later they imply that the city's starting to see him very big, you know, Spook could become very dangerous to our heroes, Shada, you know? Like, he could
No,
become, like, a real problem to them if he believes he's working for Kelsier and Kelsier tells
don't
him to
say
work
that,
against
Justin.
Elend, you
I
know?
know. I
Like,
know. I
Spook would
had
choose
that.
Kelsier. He was one of the only people who ever respected him or treated him like a person, or he felt like that, you know?
Justin, this is when I thought my Spook theory is real, is legit.
Ah, the Lord Ruler Spook.
Yeah, like he's actually being a threat right now, and he
Yeah.
could become the next Lord Ruler like that, and then time travel, of course. But that
I don't know about the time travel, but yeah.
is very possible. Like
Spook is dangerous right now. That's all I'm saying.
I
The
know,
potential to be. We'll
yeah,
see. We'll see. We can't
and he's
know at
acting
this
like a
point.
freaking psychopath. Like
How's
you
he
know,
acting like a psychopath?
not yet, but he's showing signs. You know, like
What signs?
signs
You can't just
like
say these sweeping statements about people. That's dangerous. Like, yeah, Spook's
I
fucking
guess
crazy. We gotta stay away
no,
from him.
not like that. Like he's keeping secrets and he's not being honest with people. He's being secretive and stuff, you know. He's
I
He's
not,
see. I
he's
see.
he's being Kelsier.
Trying to be.
I guess.
Okay, on to chapter 36. Okay. In hemalurgy, the type of metal used in a spike is important, as is the position of that spike on the body. For instance, steel spikes take physical allomantic powers, the ability to burn pewter, tin, steel, or iron, and bestow them upon the person receiving the spike. Which of these four is granted, however, depends on where the spike is placed. Spikes made from other metals steal ferrochemical abilities. For example, all the original Inquisitors were given a pewter spike, which, after first being pounded through the body of a ferrochemist, gave the Inquisitor the ability to store up healing power, though they couldn't do so as quickly as a real ferrochemist, as per law of hemalurgic decay. This, obviously, is where the Inquisitors got their infamous ability to recover from wounds quickly, and was also why they needed to rest so much.
Yeah, all very interesting.
Can you explain what that means?
Which part?
So hemalurgy, you steal like power. So like say like a steel spike steals allomantic powers. So say for instance, so you take someone who's a tin eye, you stab them through a heart with a steel spike, and then it goes into a person's body at a certain point of their body. Then they steal their that power. So for ferrochemist, and it's saying like if it goes directly from the body into them, then they would get more of the power. The longer it's outside without being inside a body, the more of that power is lost.
I see. Okay.
So which is why at the beginning of the book you saw like the table with one person strapped on top of another because they were pounding the spike through that ferrochemist right into an inquisitor.
Some weird, kinky Hellraiser type things there.
Yep.
I would love to see what Brandon Sanderson's horror movie catalog is with some of this stuff that he seems influenced by.
That is fucked up. That's weird. Why would you think of that? That's weird.
And then with like the ferrochemical powers, so one of the spikes that they would have would be from a ferrochemist that would give them the ability to heal. Which in the first book you kept hearing about how they would be gone for a while and had to rest for a long time. Because pretty much they would go and they would rest in order to store up healing abilities. That way then when they're out and they take damage, they could heal right away.
Okay, thank you.
Alright. Set is upset with Elend for going into the city. He feels that now that Elend has met the citizens inside, it will make things harder for him when it comes to whether to attack or not. Elend says that it won't. When Set brings up poisoning the wells inside the city, Elend says that they will poison them, but they will also leave a message telling the citizens that the wells are poisoned. And then Set asks about the surrounding villages, and Elend says that they will bully them, but they are not to kill anybody. So Set tells Elend that he keeps doing things halfway.
It's really interesting to have a guy like Set around who's gonna call you out on this stuff all the time. So you're forced to think about, is this the right call or or am I just being soft? It's really, really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's making me really like Set as a character, especially with what Elend says about he's actually probably softer than he puts himself out as. This stuff all comes from just logic in his mind.
After an earthquake, which are becoming more common, Elm brings up they have not gotten any news from Luthadel. And Set says that if they don't get more supplies, then they will not be able to maintain the siege. Elend and Set enter a tent where they meet with Ham and Damu. Damu had finally gotten better after being sick for weeks. And Ham says there are rumors going around that those that got sick were being punished for lack of faith, which Elend dismisses. As the four of them discuss their tactics, Elend thinks about his own hesitance. He should just have Vin assassinate Yeoman. But Yeoman is not really a bad person. He is a man trying to do what he feels is right, and what he said about Elend is partially right. Could Elend be willing to simply leave Fadrix and its secrets instead of killing innocents? After the men give their reports, Ham and Set leave. Damu stays behind and asks to be removed from duty. He feels like he was chosen by Kelsier to become sick, and that this is a sign that he lacks faith. Damu also brings up the number of people who stayed sick longer. 16% of the army got sick, but the majority of them recovered within a day. Of the 16% that got sick, 1/16 of them were sick for much longer. Damu brings up that Kelsier was at the pits of Hathsin for 16 fortnights, and that Vim became a Mistborn when she was 16. By the usage of 16, Kelsier is showing who displeased him the most.
I'm absolutely fascinated by this kind of stuff, because this happens in real life all the time, where people are like, coming up with theories about stuff based on numbers, like Stanley Kubrick was killed like 666 days before the new millennium or whatever, stuff like that. And then just finding all these random things like that. So when Elend just takes it all off as a coincidence, there's precedent for that in real life. People find that shit all the time, But at the same time, we know this is a magical world. So it really makes me wonder, like, just how far does this 16 thing actually go?
And also they have multiple instances of the exactly 16% getting sick.
Yeah. No, for the sickness thing, yeah. I think that one's pretty obvious. But for things like Vin was 16, Kelsier was in there for 16 years or whatever, or whatever it was, I forget.
Yeah.
But, not years. But yeah. all that stuff. We have precedent for that in real life when it comes to like conspiracy stuff and magical stuff. So I'm so curious to see if it just turn out that this is all some big magical thing like that.
Yeah.
Even though it's hard for me to believe that Kelsier actually has some kind of influence over religion like Demu seems to believe. I don't know the rules. It could turn out that that's exactly what it is, which would be very, very, very strange.
And also, Demu is wrong. Vin was not 16 when she became a Mistborn.
Why didn't
was
Elend
16 when-
correct her?
I don't know. He was too busy just saying stuff because she was 16 when Kelsier found her, but she was a
Alright,
Mistborn
well-
before that.
Same kind of thing. Kelsier chose her when she was 16. That kind of
I
thing.
like things like that where people kind of stretch the truth to fit
Yeah.
their narrative. Because you're like,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, like she was found, like, so it kind of is something, but you're like, she's always been a Mistborn. That's not really doesn't really mean anything, you know.
And then you would just change it to what I said, and then it would be just as meaningful, even though it's totally different, you know?
Hmm. People find a lot of meaning in things, and they read a lot
Mhm.
into things that,
Humans are kind of built to do that, yeah.
yeah.
And Elend tells Demu that this is ridiculous. Demu points out that he is not one of the ones that Kelsier appeared before on the night of his death. But Elend corrects him by saying that the person that appeared before them was not Kelsier, but the Kandra or Seer. Demu retorts that he still wasn't one of the ones that Kelsier had told Orseer to appear to, so he was not important enough. Elend says that Demu becoming sick is not Kelsier's way of showing displeasure. Demu admits that maybe he was jumping to conclusions. Elend thinks about those who became sick longer, and maybe they were men of extreme faith. Before he can ask this question aloud, the shouting outside began.
That bothered me so much. I wanted that question specifically asked. I was shocked when they were starting to actually talk about that kind of thing. It's so funny to have the character kind of arc towards those kind of thoughts and then have to be interrupted by the plot immediately.
Like, what could the answer be?
Like,
Gotcha.
oh, you're getting too close. The island's going to stop you from thinking that far or something.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else from this chapter you two want to go over?
Mm.
Just that I was going to be pissed if the next chapter was not telling me what the screaming is. I hate when they do that.
Were you thinking that when you read it? If I flip the page and it doesn't say it was Pearl, I'm gonna be so mad. Like,
Not like that. You can't set it up like that and not follow. This is a specific thing they do all the time to keep you reading. Like, oh, an exciting thing will happen later, which I always really hate.
yeah.
However, luckily...
All right. We'll go on to chapter 37. Hemalurgic decay was less obvious in Inquisitors that had been created from Mistborn. Since they already had elementic powers, the addition of other abilities made them awesomely strong. In most cases, however, Inquisitors were created from misting. It appears that Seekers, like Marsh, were favored recruits. For, when a Mistborn wasn't available, an Inquisitor-enhanced bronze abilities was a powerful tool for searching out Ska misting.
So, this would be the main reason they'd really want to find those Ska mistings, right? To steal those powers and stuff from them, to just kill them without any of the nobles noticing or caring.
Yeah. Yeah, you have that, and
So that would be why the Lord Ruler did not forbid them, sleeping with them. He just said, oh, make sure to kill them, knowing that a few would fall through the cracks, right?
Shady, weird stuff.
And also, this is why a big reason why Marsh was chosen, because he was a Seeker. So then if you add his ability and amplify it with another spike that gave another seeking ability, then they become more powerful, and that's why they were able to break through copper clouds, is because their seeking ability was more powerful.
It's creepy. I see a great future for you. Like,
Vin is in her tent, and then as she's informed that the camp is under attack, and she pretty much is like, oh, thank God. Finally, I can do something. And she goes out to fight.
Her and a lot of the readers who don't like politics, I imagine.
When she goes out there, she sees that there are men on horses coming into the camp to attack. Vin leaps out to them and notices that the horses don't have horseshoes on, and the spears that the men have are stone-tipped. But it doesn't mean much, because Vin proceeds to demolish them using the spikes from the tents in the camp. After just absolutely wrecking all of them, Vin senses another Allomancer watching her. She spots this person, but doesn't get a clear view of them through the mist. So she chases after them out of the battlefield and into Fadrix. Then, she uses duralumin and pushes herself at them, but she also loses sight of them once she gets there. So
How
then
could
Vin
this be?
You don't have a crackpot theory anymore, Sheta?
I have one, but I just want to know. They've teased this character a couple times now.
You don't
I'm
think
like,
it's just a character we don't know? Just a random new Mistborn?
it could be. I mean, it's gonna be, but I just want to know. I just want to know already.
All right, Vin heads back into the camp and she finds Elend. She's glad to know that Elend wasn't attacked, but wonders what the point of the attack was if he wasn't the target. Elend informs her that the attack was simply a distraction. While she was leaving the camp and everything, the koloss had been attacked. Yeoman had siege weapons on top of a plateau and used those to attack the koloss. Since the koloss had no way to fight back against people on the top of the plateau, they wound up getting into a fury and fighting each other. Now the koloss have gone from 20,000 to 10,000.
I was so pissed off. I was so mad. I'm like, this is their ace in the
Yeah.
hole, and they just let it, or it just got fucked over back there.
And then Elend gives 1,000 the koloss over to Vin for her to control. And I believe they also said that Yeoman had those siege weapons burned after the attack, so that way Elend would not be able to use it against him.
Hey, this is why I like Yeoman. He's smart. He isn't a dumbass like Straff.
You are
Well,
number one Straff fanboy. What do you say?
Yeah, as a character, not as a ruler or military leader.
While Vin is contemplating the koloss, Human comes over to her, and he says that they need more koloss. And Vin asks him how to get more, and he says that she needs to give them to him. Vin pushes more, but Human does not want to tell her. So then Vin uses her power to force him to answer. Human screams out, then he, just in a daze, goes over and picks up a dead koloss and runs into the human camp. He goes to a triage, and he rips the blue skin off of the dead koloss he carried. And he also pulls some spikes out from the body of the dead koloss. And he's about to attach the skin to an injured soldier using the spikes. But then Vin stops him, and she realizes that Human was about to make a new koloss. This is why there are no koloss children. And Human tells her, I am human.
Yeah. You.
So there's your answer from the question you've had for the last book and a half as to where do koloss come from.
The idea of them just pinning the skin on them is quite fascinating to me.
It makes sense because they're so simple and barbaric,
Mm-hmm.
just literally it's just such a um simple and kind of raw way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I could see them being able to do that kind of thing. That doesn't take much craftsmanship to make it.
Mm-hmm. I think this is an awesome reveal, but I have one little question. He pulled the little spikes out of the dead koloss, Did nobody ever dissect a koloss before? Ever? I just have a hard time believing that.
I thought they had tried to. I thought okay, if am I
Well,
wrong in that they
Well, they
were
wouldn't have
gonna
while the
do
Lord
that?
Ruler was in charge, because I'm sure people don't encounter them. But the city was covered in dead koloss, I
I
feel
thought
like at
they had.
least one person would have dissected it to try to understand how it works.
well, I
Did they
think the
take the bodies away?
No,
try
no,
to
in the city, Sheta, during the siege, Because, yeah,
I know,
normally you'd
just
never
yeah.
encounter them. And then they were all controlled, so they'd just be sitting there. Is there some detail I'm not thinking of? Because that just seems so unbelievable to me.
Well, who would be the one doing the dissecting?
Well, there's got to be at least one medical person in the city who would be curious. I also think it would be logical of somebody like Elend or Vin, anybody, to be like, we don't know where these come from. We don't know how they work. Cut them up and see. At least one koloss by one person. That's what it is. I know they don't have a Quiburn in the city, but I assume there's somebody close to that.
It's the only obligator on Ellen's crew is Norden. Sazed at that time was a bit too depressed, and I also think at that time too, they were a little bit focused on the end of the world.
I'm saying this is a city with thousands of people in it, and assumedly plenty of them are experts in the field of medicine. Otherwise, they'd have no healers. That's just that's just what I was wondering, because I feel like I would be very, very curious to know. Are these things even like us? Are they powered by magic? Do they have organs? Stuff like that. I feel like somebody in the city would wonder about that and find those spikes. That doesn't mean that they'd figure out how the koloss work. I don't think you'd be able to figure that out unless you had knowledge of, the dark metal stabbing
Hemalurgy.
arts. Yeah, hemalurgy. I if I had a question for Brandon Sanderson, that's what it would be. Because I wonder if there is a reason he could come up with.
They had the koloss for like a year or something under their control. So like, I feel like and Vin, that was the first thing she asked human. Like where do baby koloss come from? I feel like
Exactly.
more people would have wondered that and asked a little bit.
Cut them open, see if they have a reproductive system inside, right? Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah,
they
that's
would
probably
have.
but it would be all weird. See, you could learn a lot from that too, I'm sure. It wouldn't have helped them solve where they come from, but it would be the spike thing specifically. It'd be so weird to find out they have those little metals in them and wonder why they do. Because it's like with the Inquisitor, not the Inquisitors, the the Steel Inquisitors. They know they have the spikes in them, but they don't know what that means. So it'd be like that. That's probably across all three books my one little thing that's actually bothering me from a writing standpoint, or my one little, I don't even know if I'd call it a criticism. But I am very excited to learn where they come from and have it be something so fucking creepy and messed up.
Yeah. Really interesting to find out.
Mm-hmm. I like how they made such a big deal of the skin all this time, and we just kind of assumed that they were growing out of it, right? Which they kind of are, but not that it's actually a part of their creation.
Which then I wonder, like, how do they grow? Because if they're taking the power from the body that they take over, like, how do they get bigger? Do they take more like energy from the things they kill, or like from each other? Yeah,
Has anything in the epitaphs given us an implication of that yet, Sheta?
how they grow.
Mm-hmm. Where the energy comes from?
Maybe later, but it's a life
Not so
energy
far.
thing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we know that hemalurgy takes power from whatever they spike into.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the initial life, I think. But then, like, they grow out of their skin.
Humans grow, right? Maybe it's just the same thing.
Yeah, but we grow from something else. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like this is unnatural, so it wouldn't be the
God, yeah.
same. Like, I wonder if it has anything to do with their swords, because I don't know, they're made of metal, maybe, and they switch
know.
swords when they kill
I
each
think
other.
they just like the swords, but maybe.
I don't know, because they get kind of like the whole way they work is if they kill each other, like whoever's bigger, I don't know, wins the fight, and then they take their stuff. Like, I don't know.
Oh yeah. I'm sure we'll find out a
Big
little more
mystery.
as they go forward. But this is why you should always have a burn on payroll. That's my belief. When you're in a magical world, everyone always assumes everything's magical, but even magics have some logic to it. And if you can find some nightmare guy to chop people up and figure out what's going on, you could learn a lot.
Plus, there is a little bit of an answer to your thing.
Is there?
Because when the koloss die, they do themselves, like, pretty quickly take the skin and the spikes off the dead koloss.
I thought so.
For at first, but I feel like this is specifically because Vin captured so many in the city. There'd be a lot of corpses left around that I assume would not have had their skin taken off yet,
But then
and also,
the other
if
one,
they found a bunch with their skin taken off just lying there, I think that would ask some questions too.
No, because they already knew that they did that, because when Sazed saw earlier in the book, when he walked through the koloss camp, you saw, like, they would take the skin off the dead ones. That was just the thing that they knew that they did to their dead.
Still, their whole process was interrupted by what Vin did. So you'd have a lot of them just
I get what
lying
you're
there.
saying, Justin.
And I think if that was the case
Yeah.
too, you'd have a lot standing there holding skin and spikes. Though I guess I don't know where they hide the spikes when they're not using them. Maybe they just stick them in their own body.
I guess that is the question. Like, also, have we never seen it happen since they're stuck in the city? Kind of, like has no one really seen?
Well, we haven't been having a lot die, right? And I assume they've just been leaving them now because they're not following their way.
Anything else from this chapter you two want to go over?
No.
I was very glad because earlier when Vin was trying to ask human stuff, I mean, he obviously never really gives answers. I was really glad when she pushed on him and he screamed. I thought she was going to let it go like she did with Orseer, And she did a little bit, but she's not as caring of this koloss as she was about Orseer when he's in pain. So it was interesting to see her follow this thread to its logical conclusion. I appreciated that.
It was pretty horrifying to follow and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I can imagine the scene being played out.
Especially when you start being like, oh God, I know what he's about to do. This is fucked up.
Yeah.
Because at first I thought he was going to do it on a dead human, But then when he goes into the camp where they're all being healed, I'm like, oh God, Vin, please stop him. Please stop him now.
It's weird that it would go to someone who's dying, though, like, and not to just a alive, healthy human.
He did.
Like,
It was an injured person. That's why I went to the triage.
Yeah, but he was, quote, dying. He was injured, like she's saying, not like just some random guy they grabbed. I wonder if
that
that's a
matters.
thing or if
Yeah.
that's a cultural thing.
Yeah, I wonder if it matters. If it's it has to be someone if that was a rule, kind of like the contracts of the Khandra, how they can't kill a person. I wonder if it was some kind of rule where it has to be someone who is dying and probably won't recover, so we'll give him a second life with a koloss body, like.
He also said that it wouldn't be right to reveal where they come from, which means they have some kind of like desire or belief to not let people know.
Yeah, that was the part that got Vin curious because it was like, he's like, "What did you say? Like,
Yeah.
can't do that. Like, can't."
I don't know. That seems like it'd be wrong.
Wrong? Is anything wrong with you? Like,
Yeah.
you guys are barbarians. Like, why do you have values? Like, really interesting.
All right, on to chapter 38. Hemalurgy can be used to steal allomantic or ferrochemical powers and give them to another person. However, a hemalurgic spike can also be created by killing a normal person, one who is neither an allomancer nor a ferrochemist. In that case, the spike instead steals the very power of preservation existing within the soul of the person. The power that, in fact, gives all people sentience.
Oh my gosh. So
that's a huge one right there.
Yep.
A hemalurgic spike can extract this power, then transfer it to another, granting them residual abilities similar to those of allomancy. After all, preservation's body, a tiny trace of which is carried by every human being, is the very same essence that fuels allomancy.
A force moves through us all.
Yeah. This was a pretty crazy one.
And so, a Khandra granted the blessing of potency is actually acquiring a bit of innate strength similar to that of burning pewter. The blessing of presence grants mental capacity in a similar way, while the blessing of awareness is the ability to sense with greater acuity, and the rarely used blessing of stability grants emotional fortitude.
Yes, I thought these were similar earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when
I think you
Tinsu
did
was
say
talking.
that. Yeah, I think I remember that.
Sounds awfully familiar to, to the other powers that we've learned. So I'm glad to get the final answer here.
When I was excited to get some of these answers about these magic things, where sapience comes was not one of the things I expected to get an answer to.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That means that this is not a world like our world. This is an actually magical world,
Yeah, but yeah. I think it's pretty crazy to have it be like the concepts we were talking about were like souls and things like that, But this is just kind of sciencing it out, like.
Well, we don't have proof that a soul exists, but we do know that sapience is not something that was like evolutionarily handed down. It comes from somewhere, which is really interesting and big.
Yeah.
I think souls exist, but we don't have that evidence yet that I'm aware of. No, I don't think we do. I mean, that's what Sazed's trying to figure out. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm not talking about real life. That's a little big for this podcast.
I was like, wow, Justin, I never knew that.
But yeah, that was not. I always am really interested in that in stories because you just assume that the world's like our world, but it's a lot more interesting to me when it's not, and it has its own rules. So these have been my favorite chapters for those, just because of the epigraphs.
All right. The chapter begins, and it's at night, and Spook is watching over as a group of Ska are digging up the burned ruins from the mansion he had seen burned earlier in the book. They are the man from Franson, and Franson was the guy earlier who had asked Spook to save his sister. So these are the men that Franson had gathered together. Spook thinks about how he has not been able to go and spy on the citizen for a while. Sazed and Breeze felt like it had gotten too risky and asked him to stop spying on him. And this is now making Spook missing being able to see Beldrum. But he chides himself for that because he doesn't even actually know her. Franson tells Spook they have dug up everything possible in the mansion and asks what the point of this was. Spook thinks back to what Dern had told him. Count the skulls. There are 9 skulls. Spook tells Franson that 10 people had gone to the building and there are only 9 skulls. This means that there is a way to get his sister out. And then we cut over to Sazed and Breeze, who are in a ska bar. And Breeze gets up from the table where he's at with Sazed and goes over to a group of men at a different table. Sazed thinks about how the Ska are no longer afraid of the mist and how quickly this has changed. Because the superstition had been on for like hundreds of years. These superstitions had been overcome because of Kelsier and their belief in him. Sazed is surprised at how far the Church of the Survivor has spread in such a short amount of time. But he stops himself from thinking about it because he needs to focus on studying his religions.
No, Sazed, this is what you're supposed to be figuring out to help everyone here. Every time he thinks about studying his religions, I understand why he's doing it, but I feel so frustrated. Because I'm like, guys, there's things you can unlock here that'll help you, I think. Whether it's like a just societal thing or something more magical.
He is getting close to being finished with all his religions, and that worries him because he has not found the answer he's looking for.
And I know he's not going to. I don't think it'd be much of a religion if it wasn't if it didn't have some contradictions in it. Then it would just be called history, right?
Breeze waves Sazed over to the group of men. Sazed goes over there, and they talk about taking the city away from Quellian, and the men question why they should give it over to Elend. Sazed says that Elend wants the city for resources, and also because he is a good man. The men ask Sazed about the Terrace people, and Sazed tells them that they aren't ruled by Elend, but they have made an alliance with him. One of the men say that they don't need the help of Breeze and Sazed, because they have the Survivor of the Flames. Sazed asks why they call Kelsier that, but they inform him that this is not Kelsier, but a new survivor. The survivor of Hathsin had come to overthrow the Lord Ruler, and now the survivor of the Flames has come in order to overthrow Quellian. Sazed asks to meet this new survivor, and they tell him tomorrow, because there will be another execution.
It's gonna be a Pina Colada song meetup.
Yeah.
It's like, it's you.
Spook, what the fuck have you been what's the term? Moonlighting as?
Yeah.
You don't think the Survivor of the Flames is a new character?
I mean, it could be. There's also the chance that it is a new character who's trying to use the idea of the skulls going missing to make people pretend that they are, more than they actually are to get their own power.
How would the skulls be missing do that?
Because we know people are missing in the flames.
Yeah, but...
all you'd need is for one person to take advantage of people kind of knowing that, which I don't know that they actually do, to say, I am the new survivor, you should follow me instead. Which I don't know that I believe that's what's going to happen, but I think it would be really funny if it wasn't Spook.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty quick reputation to, that happened like yesterday.
For power.
Like...
Well, it sounds like it's happened more than once, because the one guy told Spook that. Now Spook has disappeared from a flaming building, and other people have too,
Oh my god. Sorry for freaking out. I think this Kelsier spirit is a freaking hoe. I think he's been doing this to like a bunch of people. And that there's a ton of people who have some kind of blessing, and he's building up an army that he's gonna freaking flip on us. I can't believe that. And I thought Spook was special.
The only reason I don't stand by that is that I think we would have noticed if other people had powers, and if that was the case, they probably would have told Spook to go where these other people are.
Well, I think Spook is special because he's the only one that knew Kelsier personally. So like he wouldn't just it would be a little harder to convince him. Whereas if they just convinced a kind of commoner person that the survivor was talking to him, they could make up a bunch of shit, to just be like, "Oh yes, I am the survivor. Go to this place and join our group and stuff." But Spook would be like, "That's not what Kelsier would say," or like,
Just like when he said how much he hated Breeze.
yeah, he has to be a little careful.
I mean, just like how he needed to be careful when he said that.
Yeah, but that would have been one slip up. If you know, wherever this is, it is probably not 100% the best, at that.
Oh, yeah,
So,
we can barely guess at this point.
mm, but
It's really mean to have Kelsier here, in my opinion.
yeah, it's mean to me.
I wonder how many people read this and are mistrustful, and how many people read this and are just all in.
I know. I feel a little hurt. Like, I've been waiting for Kelsier to return, and now
We haven't had it proved that this isn't Kelsier yet.
it's not him. He's too evil. And if he is Kelsier, why is he revealing himself to Spook of all people? No offense to Spook, but why not to Vin? You know?
I hear you.
This
I
is
couldn't
kind of a
say.
random place. Yeah.
All right. Anything else for this chapter you two want to go over?
Mm, no, but I really want to figure out this mystery.
It's driving you crazy, I can tell. Week after
Yeah.
week, it's driving you insane.
Yes, it is.
Well, is there an answer that would even be satisfying to you at this point, Sheta?
No, because this whole thing kind of pisses me off already. Because I'm like, I already know, like it's like when you dig up somebody that you dig up an old hero like that and tease him around, like that's just uncouth. Like so that's why it pisses me off. Like it's disrespectful to the memory of a character we really like and stuff. So to do it like this, like I hope we just stomp this thing out, whatever's doing this to me.
Is this the way to get you to just hate Ruin? Is that what you think? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
I think so. I think if you just shit on my hero, then yeah, I will make sure that is the ultimate bad guy.
Well, he hasn't been telling Spook to kill everyone around him. That's why I don't believe it's the same thing that was working in Zane's head.
Mm, Like I said, I feel like this thing appears in different forms to people. So
All right. On to chapter 39, our last chapter for the day. Even now, I can barely grasp the scope of all of this. The events surrounding the end of the world seem even larger than the final empire and the people within it. I sense shards of something from long ago, a fractured present, something spanning the void. I have delved and searched and have only been able to come up with a single name, Ada Nauseam. Who or what it was, I do not yet know.
Neither do I, but I have a feeling that's a very important name.
All right. So we're back with Tensoon, and he is horrified by all the ash that is falling now. He doesn't understand how the first and seconds can ignore this. The reason why he was always taking jobs so much before was so that way he would not stay in the homeland and become complacent like them. And he's talking about like how deep the ash is now, and it's like very deep. And Tensoon finds where he buried Orsir's blessings. Each conjurer is given a blessing which is made up of 2 spikes. They are put into a mist wraith, which transforms it into a conjura. Tensoon absorbs Orsir's blessing into his body, and now he has the blessings of both potency and presence. He is one of the most powerful conjura alive.
I'm mad at how he got that. I'll
it's
still never
okay.
forgive him for killing my character, who I thought I knew for more than a second.
He is that character.
No.
You knew him for a book and a couple chapters.
He killed this poor guy. I'll always feel too sad for that.
I feel bad that I feel the opposite. I'm like, it's okay. He had to die for this character to exist, who I like a lot better and
That's
stuff.
very true. It's true.
Tensoon thinks about the first contract. It was a set of instructions as for actions to take when the world begins to fall. Its contents frightened some of the Kandras. They tried to ignore it. But the first contract was explicit. It said that when Ruin returned, they had to seek out the father and serve him. Since the father is dead, Tensoon is doing the next best thing and is searching for Vin. And that's the end of our chapters for the week.
Pretty crazy to me that the Lord Ruler knew so well that this was going to happen eventually, that he has this stuff worked into their very society and religion. Be prepared.
Be prepared.
Kind of.
I was thinking of that, what is it when they mash anime with music?
An AMV.
An
You're not
AMV.
going to make a Mistborn AMV, are you, Sheta?
With Be Prepared?
Mm-hmm.
I don't really. You'd have to get like fan art or just animate it yourself.
At that point, I feel like there's another name for it.
I could use covers.
Oh no!
All right.
So now that Sheta's been kicked off the podcast.
Hey, what?
Let's go over to the theories and predictions segments. So when it comes to the 16%, so yet 16% of the people got sick, and 1/16 of them got sick for even longer. So why are these people getting sick for longer?
I still think that if Ruin's goal is to break down everything bit by bit, something in its, I don't know, programming or whatever only allows it to break things down, like destroy at a 16th at a time. But it keeps trying after and tries to cling on to them as long as possible. That's what I got. I have no idea, though. I think it's some kind of ancient thing that's stuck in it. It can't... I don't know.
I just think it's the same thing as that what we were talking about. I don't know what the term is, but that thing found in nature where it's repeated, the pattern is repeated down to the cells of the thing, like the flower or just whatever natural patterns that are in nature, they just repeat it. And I think that's just continued repeating of that pattern. That's all.
So similar to kind of what I think a bit.
Is that what you said?
Something that's just... Oh, maybe you are saying something a little different. Like, do you think 16 is an important number in reality? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think that's just what happened the first time, and then it just kept happening.
The first time what?
The first time whatever this is happened, it just randomly happened at 16, and then that it just continued through time.
You think the world's glitching out? Is that it?
Yeah. Like that.
Like the programmer of the world got a number wrong, and is that it?
Oh, they got stuck at 16, and they'd be like 16 again, like over and over.
Okay.
And it's just
that's
broken.
very different than what I thought you were saying.
Well, yes, it's that, but then it's also that plus my nature thing, because it's trying to be something that makes sense. I don't know if any of that makes sense.
It almost does, and that's what matters.
Yeah, I think that's what this whole thing kind of is. So, because when we found out that the ash and all that stuff was just a mistake that happened that was trying to fix another mistake, like it all was just something that made sense. But because it has come through time, it's become something more than that, so.
I very close to understand what you're saying.
Okay.
All right, now that Elend will know how to make koloss, will he start making koloss with how he has been going down a darker path this book?
I certainly hope not.
Ooh, I don't know if he can stop himself. Like, especially when that guy, like, Yeoman, like, killed half his army, he's gonna be like, I'm just gonna take the things you took and I'm gonna throw it back at you,
Oh, his own dying troops that they have?
Yeah.
Not Elend's troops, right?
Like, that'll be the biggest, like, upper hand you could get, especially since that was just such a mean move. Like, it's such a move that was made we didn't think he could do, like Elend now has lost the upper hand, has kind of been shook because he liked Yeoman and stuff, and he was kind of shook by that Yeoman didn't like him, and maybe he's not doing the right thing and stuff. Like, uh, I think he's at a precarious point, so I could see him
Oh,
doing
he
that.
definitely is. I just don't think so. That's too messed up.
Yeah, I mean, if especially if Vin is really scared by it, like she did not like it.
Well, especially if you've got to do it to people before they're dead. If it was after, I think they'd do it. If it is, I mean, it still could be, but if you have to do it before, he'd have to get real desperate, I think.
Yeah, and what if there is, like I said, like they're dying, like they're not gonna be healed, they're not gonna be okay. So
Well,
they're
that one guy
technically still
probably
alive.
wasn't, right?
We don't know. Maybe
Yeah, we don't yet.
maybe he sensed that, oh, that guy's not gonna make it. That one's
Hmm.
okay to take.
All right. With Marsh, he went, he killed the one guy and made a spike. Why did he make that spike and where's he bringing it?
Assumedly to make more Inquisitors, I'd assume.
But we were already shown earlier in the book that when they're making Inquisitors, they just take a person, that way they can stab it right into their body.
Yeah, like get it
This is
fresh.
this is one they specifically just chose to stab and go because he didn't care about it losing its power.
And he even
Mm.
thought it would be a shame that I can just like
Oh, I see.
I can't use it right away. I have to I
Well,
have
what
to
do you
bring
got,
it.
Sheta?
Well, I don't know why in my head I think there's some kind of person. Oh, yep. Some kind of person or body being made for ruin, and they're all just fetching stuff to bring to make that body. Like, there is a big bad thing out there, like a physical one.
I could see
Yeah.
making a body for her. That's an interesting idea.
Because it's kind of been a theme too that all the wraiths and like Khandra and Koloss need bodies like shells to live and move and stuff. So I could see him doing that. Like for me, that's like why the mist takes people, why they are kind of like they leave, like they literally walk over there to wherever, and that's to the body being made.
Is it going to be a giant body? Please tell me it is.
It's not a normal body. If you need that much stuff, it's gotta be
Hmm.
like
They're just
freaking
collecting up all the
monster.
mist wraiths and people they can find and turning them into a giant nut monster body. Now you got my hopes up so high, Shada. I'm going to be so disappointed when it's anything
You
else.
just want a titan or a kaiju or something.
Hmm. I was thinking of like the Human Reaper in Mass Effect 2.
Yeah. So, yep, that's what he's doing. And I think like this is kind of later in my things, but that because that guy that March was taking was a noble, I think he had certain powers that was that they want. Are we at the predictions part yet?
I actually kind of
Yeah.
thought, what was that guy's power again?
Let me check. He was a smoker. There it is. He was a smoker.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if there was some element where they, don't know, whatever they're using it for, whatever's rising, if powered people are going to wind up being a danger to it or something. And so even though they had to lose a bunch of power for it, the main goal was just to kill him out. But if he was just a smoker, I don't know about that.
I think that they're, you know, collecting all the gems, so to speak,
Mhm.
getting all the powers together, and you need a certain amount. Like, if this was a video game, you'd need this many smokers, you know, or this much power.
All right, and if either of you have any like theories or predictions you want to throw out there, go right ahead.
Yes. Um, the I thought that the missing skull in the house was something else. Like, I didn't think I had this whole thing. I think I might have misread it, but this whole thing where Lillian was taking like loudly saying, "Oh, we're totally killing this noble for being a noble and stuff," and then actually, oh, sorry, my cat is freaking out. Um, okay, sorry. he is actually taking these nobles and doing something with them with their powers and stuff, like some kind of hemalurgy or something, and using them to make him and his people stronger. So I
Oh
think
God.
that, yeah, like he's
So
just
you're
like,
saying they're not nobles, they're doing hemalurgy on themselves, is that it?
hmm
I
yeah,
like that. I like that.
because like, you know what? Fuck these nobles. We're just gonna take their powers for ourselves. You know, they've had it all
Well,
this
that would
time.
mean they're not hypocrites, they're not nobles, you know?
Yeah. So I think he somehow, even found. Oh, wait, never mind. That's the other guy, Yeoman. I thought he may have found something in the cache that told him how to make them, or got his hands on the info about how to make inquisitors or get powers and stuff like that. And it's
Well,
just
do
like,
we
yeah,
know where
just
their
take
stash is? Have we seen yet? I don't remember.
in uh, in that city. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
it is that city.
Wait,
No.
Citizen City?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's Spook and Breeze's base. They never
Oh,
went
yeah.
inside there. They just boarded
Yeah.
up the building.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So no, they must not have found that out yet. But like, he could find that info another way, like some noble house or something. You
Oh,
know.
yeah, that I don't know. But I think that would be a really interesting element to the character.
Yeah. So I think that, and yeah, I think that the missing skull thing, I thought that was really scary to me. Like people are not dying when they are should be.
Something's happening. I don't know if I believe that it's all the Kelsier entity doing it, but it could be.
I thought it was so crazy to be like, go in there and be like, do the same scene that we saw Spook do, like, hey guy, like I'm the survivor, like do as I say, and then they feel all rescued and special and stuff like that. Like,
He's saying it's going to turn out that this survivor is just like a Scooby Doo ghost mask villain, Sheta.
no,
Like it's
but
just
like,
Quellian in a mask saying, I'm the survivor! Drink that vial!
oh my gosh. But how would we be talking to him?
Spook's just
Oh my,
crazy. It's just a coincidence.
no, you know how he would be talking to him. Spook is a tin eye. He can hear things really good. You just have to pretend your voice and talk kind of close, you know?
Don't you think he'd
Like,
notice that?
I don't know, not if he wants to believe it and maybe some other thing,
That
like
might be the most unsatisfying description of what's happening. I would be very surprised by that.
the voice he's hearing is just someone whispering. Oh man.
My crackpot theory, based on virtually nothing, is about the epigraph person. Because I'm trying to
Okay.
figure out who it could be of our cast, and I'm like, no answer sounds satisfying. So I also think, I don't know, it might be unsatisfying if it's a made up character. So mine ties into the what is it, the 11th metal, when they see a version of them from long ago, or from not long ago. What was the 11th metal, the one where you saw like them from the past, or was it the one where you saw
Yeah.
a version of them from now? Or
A
like an
version from
alternate
now.
reality?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the 11th metal lets you see someone else's past.
Yeah. What was the one that let you see like their potential, what they could have been if they'd
That
taken a
it's
path?
it's kind of the same thing. It's like you
Hmm.
see some like their past and what they would have become, sort of like that.
Yeah. So I think this what would have become. I always thought from the first book they were kind of seeing a timeline over, kind of, if things had been a little different, you know? And so it gets me wondering if what we're actually seeing in these epigraphs is writing from that our heroes will find at some point before. So it's actually not written in the future, but it's just kind of written like a
Ooh,
version of
yes.
how things could have gone if things got really
Hmm.
like worse. Because when they're, but I cannot tell if this is written from an aftermath perspective where they're like, you know, man, that was crazy, guys, or if it's written from a, well, we could all die any second kind of perspective. I'm really curious because I think it'd be interesting if that's like a, I don't know, a last hope sent over thing you could only see by reading the discs with a certain metal. But we're getting to the point in the story where I don't think there's enough time for something that convoluted. So I don't know how much I stand by that one.
It would be so wild if we finish these books and at the end of this book it'll be like And then Ellen died, and Vin died. Everyone died, and the world caved in and just was destroyed. And then
Dear
it goes,
God.
and then, and then we cut to Sazed with hair or something closing a book, like, and that's how it happened in that universe, like, you know.
And he's just cataloging all the universes, and that's what we're reading? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah.
That may be the most hated ending in fiction history, Sheta. Yes, I hate that so much. Joe, if that's the ending, what Sheta just described, that to the letter, not a version, but that, I will not read any more Brandon Sanderson books. I'm just going to let you know.
I'll tell you, you may hate that, but I can guarantee there would be people out there that would love that. When they read something and everyone dies at the end, they're like, yeah!
I'm not against
Badass.
everyone dying. I'm not against that at all. That could be a really epic ending, especially with like the world ends kind of ending, you know? It's specifically Sazed with hair reading it and being like, man, that was a crazy story, huh, guys? I'd be like, what the fuck did I just waste my time on?
It's just the end of James and the Giant Peach. Yep, that was their story. And that was the story of them. And it was written down. And that was the book you just read.
That's fine, because at least that was the book I read, so it happened. Not, that was crazy in another universe. But in this universe, James never left the aunt's house. The end. That would not be a good story ending. See, if it ends with what Sheta said at the first thing, where everyone dies and the world caves in, I'd be like, holy shit, what did I just read? And I'm sure it'd be done in a way where there'd be some good ideas to it. Not that one. God, no. You got to be careful, because you never know when you've accidentally called it, so.
And you just bashed it really hard, so all the fans are gonna be like, I thought that was really cool when that happened. Like,
What way could you write that where that would be good?
you could write it better than how I described it, you know? Like,
but that's the content, you know?
And like, I don't know. I think it would be interesting because we wouldn't see it coming, and
Why would you?
but okay, here's how you could make it work. Maybe you might say like, it happened like that here. It really did happen, and so like in this adjacent universe or something, we're gonna take what we learned from them and try to save this world or something.
Yeah, but at that point, would you give a shit about this new world, you know?
Maybe there's a Vin with an eye patch or something, and she's like, good thing we learned about that,
Sheta, the more fucking factors you put on that make them seem like a lazy multiverse, the less interested I'd be in seeing them survive. If you cut over and it was like exactly the same universe and you could just assume everything happened the same, maybe, but I don't know. I think it'd make more sense to watch our characters learn that about the eye patch universe and the haired Sazed universe. Also, I didn't think there'd be that many differences, Sheta.
It'd be like, that moment when Vin dodged that one coin, in this one, it went through her eye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I feel the same way. The thing, because of how they see the different variations of what they could do when they use the atium. However, I'm not sure if I consider that to be like actually seeing different possible futures, or if I see that them seeing different possibilities they could make based on some other factor. I can't say yet. It's implied a little of both, if I recall. But until then, I think it's probably Spook after he's gone to college. Because currently he's the one who has power or is starting to get power stuff and has been chosen or whatever.
Chosen by a false prophet.
Very well could be.
Or any other theories?
Yeah, I don't think so.
We'll just move on to characters and quotes of the week.
My character this week has to be human because he revealed to us that he is a human. He's not bullshitting.
I always knew he was human.
Yeah. So. I think you said that before. Anyone who lets me delve into the further mysteries of these nightmare body horror creatures, I'm always very interested in. Also, I'm really interested in that line between them being sapient and kind of not. They're also kind of like mindless monsters. So I think that's really interesting.
I guess my favorite would be Spook. I liked him being a little main character, doing his own side story here with the ska people and trying to help people, being a little hero.
Weren't you just saying you didn't like Spook now, Sheta?
I still like Spook. I don't. I didn't say I didn't like him. I just said I
Oh,
couldn't
as a main
accept
character.
that
Is
he
that it?
was getting a bigger role in
I see.
and becoming a bigger deal in the world. Like, I'm just like, wow. First, it was like, oh, cool, Spook gets a chapter, and I'm like, wow, Spook gets like 3 out of the 5 chapters. Like, it's just a lot to a big change for me.
Well, with me, it'll be the same as what I've done the last couple weeks. And I'm going to go with Vin once again because she had the awesome battle scene of fucking everybody up. And then she had the scene with Human where she learned the horrors of the koloss and had to stop him, which was cool.
Joe, don't you think horror is a little judgmental of a word?
No.
This is how they're born. This is their culture.
Yeah, that's a little close-minded, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
I
think birthing of humans is horrible, but I don't say that, you know.
I'll stick with what I said. All right. Now it's time. Now let's go over to quotes then.
My quote comes from Marsh's happy-go-lucky little times in the village.
Hmm.
It's a small piece of him was still free, but he let it sleep. Ruin needed to think he had given up. That was the point. So Marsh held back only a tiny bit, and he did not fight. He let ash and sky become a thing of bespeckled beauty, and treated the death of the world as a blessed event, biding his time waiting. The village was an inspiring sight. The people were starving here, even though they were within the central dominance, Elend Venture's protected area. They had the wonderful haunted expressions of those who were close to giving up. The streets were barely maintained. The homes, which had once been dwellings of noblemen but were now filled with hungry ska, covered in ash, their gardens and their structures cannibalized to feed fires during the winter. This gorgeous sight made Marsh smile with satisfaction. I really liked getting to see a point of view from somebody who thinks like that, but also that we get a sense for how Ruin feels about this stuff, which is, it's fun. He likes it. It's pretty, basically.
All right. My quote is from a Spook chapter. He's wondering about how he thought all the alimentic pairs were opposites, but that Kin and Pewter didn't seem like opposites. One enhanced the body, the other the senses. But they were opposites. Tin made his sense of touch so sharp that each step had once been uncomfortable. Pewter enhanced his body, making it resistant to pain. And so, as he picked his way across the blackened ruin, his feet didn't hurt as much. In a similar way, where light had once blinded him, Pewter let him endure far more than needing his blindfold. The two complemented each other, just like the other pairs of allomantic metals. He felt right having the one to go with the other. How had he survived without Pewter? He had been a man with only one half of an ability. Now he was complete. I think that actually kind of says a lot about the book, I wonder, because they were opposites, and ruin and preservation are opposites, but they work together. So I don't know. Themes? Hmm?
Themes?
Themes?
I think you're correct about themes, but yeah.
I never thought of that about these two metals, but it's just perfect. Now he's like complete. He is complete. Like, I liked seeing him with the blindfold, like trying to like make up for burning tin, like trying to make it work and having it be just a hard time for him. And now it's not. Now he's just powerful. So I think it's cool, and I'm glad for him, but I hope it doesn't ruin him. Ruin with an capital R.
Oh no, Sheta.
All right, mine. It's towards the end of the Vin chapter, or it is the end of the Vin chapter. Wait, Vin said, stepping forward. What was that? Hewan ignored her. He pulled out something else, and this time Vin caught a flash of bloodied metal. She followed his finger as he moved. and saw the item before he pulled it free and hid it in his palm. A spike. A small metal spike driven into the side of the dead koloss. There was a rip of blue skin by the spike head, as if the spikes were holding the skin in place, Vin thought, like nails holding a cloth to a wall. Spikes. Spikes like... Human retrieved a third and fourth spike, and stepped forward into the tent. Surgeons and soldiers moved back in fear, crying out for Vin to do something as Human approached the bed of a wounded soldier. Human looked from one unconscious man to another, then reached for one of them. Stop! Vin commanded in her mind. Human froze in place. Only then did the complete horror of what was happening occur to her. Lord Ruler, she whispered, you were going to turn them into koloss, weren't you? That's where you come from. That's why there are no koloss children. I am human, the large beast said quietly. I just like the explanation where you just find out the truth about the koloss.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way that it goes, like, oh, ripping the skin, going, then, like, you're going through, and it's like, all right, I kind of see that, oh my god, what the fuck?
Yeah, Brandon Sanderson's a sick bastard. That's what I'm learning.
Learning?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's like, his stuff has such range. Like, it has the happiest, most innocent, happy-go-lucky moments, and then some of the worst, most, like, deranged things. And, like, really, like, messed up stuff, too. Evil things, messed up stuff. Yep. Well, fun times.
Fun times.
All right. Well, now we'll go over to comments and stuff we've gotten from people over the past couple weeks. Start off with a comment on last week's episode. Friend Red Mac. His comment is, guilty pleasure, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Good pick.
All right, now a comment from Adelg8 on the episode Well of Ascension, chapters 28 through 33. After all my gripes with Sheta, I love her for choosing that quote, my favorite as well. And this was
Which
a
one was
quote
that?
where I was listening to it. It's where like Elend was talking to the assembly, and it's like, weren't you going to give a speech about why we should choose you? No, you guys know where I stand. I don't need to give my speech and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
And now here's one for our episode, Hero of Ages 20 through 27. This comment's from Blue Shark. There are some weird cultural ramifications to the 16% stuff that, while not plot relevant at all, I find really interesting. There's some deepish lore where Scadrians count using hexadecimal / base 16, meaning percentages shouldn't work the same as in base 10. What's interesting is that when you really look into the numbers, you find that when they say 16%, they do really mean 16 out of 100. So for some reason, they do percentages in base 10 while counting in base 16. Mean in their language, they say 10% and it translates to 16 out of 100. If they wanted to say 100%, they would say 64%. Crazy stuff.
That is super interesting and very deep.
Huh. Is that from other stuff, or?
I will say, I'm not really a mathematician, so all the base 16, base 10 stuff, all that just goes over my head.
I know it is a thing, and I know it affects how things like that work. That's about the extent of my knowledge on that. That's why it's very interesting to see somebody more knowledgeable of such a subject talk about it. But where did we learn about the about what base they count in? Is that from something else?
Yeah, that's what
that
I'm
Sheta said?
asking. Like, is that from some kind of supplement read?
My guess is maybe it could be something somebody asked Brandon Sanderson and he answered it.
Oh, I see.
Because he has been known to whenever there's questions and stuff, people ask him questions and he'll answer it. And a lot of times it does clarify some things. Other times it's what happens if somebody like tries to mix this magic system with this magic system together, and then he'll give like some technical thing about what would happen.
So did somebody come up and ask what number or what base number system do these characters use?
I don't know. My guess would be yes, but that's a complete guess on my part.
Well, after we finish the book, I want to learn.
Yeah, or if you are the Blue Shark, if you hear this and want to let us know, that would be good too.
Yeah. I know
Joe won't let us know if it's spoiler related.
Yeah. I know there's an entire database that just keeps track of all the what people call WOBs or Word of Brandons. So a lot of times you can search those and find like it says, yep, here's the question, here's the answer, here's like what book signing or what panel this was asked.
That is awesome. When I finish the entire series, I will be going through all of that for sure someday in the far off future. I'm
That's
always
cool.
so interested in how worlds like this are different. So, like things we take for granted, in what ways they're different. So I'm really into that.
Yep, and those, all the words of Brandon, they're considered canon unless a later book he, comes up with something different.
Comes up with / totally forgot that he ever said that.
Yeah, or it could be like somebody asked him a question about like Mistborn and like when this came out in 2008 or whatnot, and then like a decade later when he's writing a different book, he's like, you know what? I actually came up with something different. It
Yeah.
would contradict that, but it was never actually in text.
Like the different levels of canon in Star Wars, that'd be my closest knowledge.
Yeah.
It's canon until it ain't.
Yeah, basically.
All right. And then we have another comment on Well of Ascension, chapters 49 through 51. This one's another comment from Adelg8. And with their comment, this is starting to make me think that they are going through our podcast with the chapters, because it's...
Good. That's a fun one.
I could be wrong, but the way they're talking sounds like it's a first-time reader.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking Alrienne may be a Mistborn. Number 1, we know she was riding Breeze's emotions. Number 2, she said she heard talking when she was supposed to be in her room, burning 10. Then they say possibly burning 10. And number 3, Vin said Mistborn are more agile or something like that. And we see how competent she is riding the horse.
Oh.
That would make Alrienne very dangerous, I think. I would actually be scared of her if she was hiding being a Mistborn to this point. That would be very powerful.
Yeah. But fun. That would be fun. Vin has a fun Mistborn bestie. That would
There
be
you go,
awesome.
Sheta. That's your mysterious Mistborn.
It's Alrienne?
Mm-hmm. She's actually been a villain this whole time and learn all the ways she was.
And she just quickly used some kind of like those posts to travel to Vin City after being with Breeze in
That
that
is
city.
the flaw in my theory. But we could always come up with a thing.
We saw The Last Jedi. She just did a mind projection like Luke.
Yeah. Oh, God. No, thank you.
Oh, ew.
Next one, Well of Ascensions, chapters 56 through Epilogue. Once again, Eldig 8. I need more information on these gods. What can they do? I think these are the powers I got so far. The good one could control the mist to some extent, and I think it was also the one that ripped the sentences of the scripts. The bad one could appear on people's heads as a voice and manipulate them. It can change writings, memories, and even metal minds.
And that's what we got so far, right?
I want to make a list like that. That seems really fun.
It's a good idea to kind of keep track. The controlling of the mist, I don't think we know. I think, honestly, I kind of think they're both like manipulating the mists in different ways.
Yeah, for sure. That's what my theories would be, or that's what my list would have. Like, it's like what I was saying about the different sides that are needed with Pewter and Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that is...
there's different sides to the mist, you're saying?
Yeah, we were kind of saying that last week, or that we have kind of good guys and bad guys using the mist for their stuff, And
again, I don't think good and bad is the right word, like you're saying. I think they're just
I
too...
did air quotes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know
How am I supposed to see that?
I did them. Yes, not really good and bad guys, but ones that help or deter our heroes and stuff.
I'm so curious, what is of ruin, what is of preservation, and what is some bullshit the Lord Ruler threw into the pie?
Yeah, there's that too. I want to make a list. Ruin and preservation.
Well, have it ready for next. I'd love to hear it.
All right, so next will be for our Well of Ascension wrap-up episode. Adelg8 had 2 different comments. First one, I appreciate Joe staying neutral and not spoiling anything.
Yes, thank you for that. That sounds like the hardest thing on podcasts.
Yeah. Like I said on that episode, that's the one thing that has annoyed me in the past with these sort of podcasts, when you have a person that's been through a story before and they wind up spoiling stuff or overhyping stuff or underhyping. Yeah, that
would drive me nuts, man.
All right. And then Then the A Delegate's second comment was their own little fan cast.
Oh, sweet.
Ew. Yes.
I
let's hear it.
really like the idea of Gwendolyn Christie as Twindwill.
Oh,
I only know her from Game of Thrones. She was Brienne of Tarth.
Oh,
She was
I was
strong
going to
and
look it up.
She was strong and imposing, but she also had vulnerable moments. Just like Tindwill with her strong personality but tragic past. Also, as I looked her up to get the actress name, I found we share the same birthday, so that's cool.
wow. Cool.
I could see that casting. I approve. It's not like Joe's fucking replacement casting, so I'm all good.
All right, next will be Hero of Ages, chapters 14 through 19. Adelg 8, again. As someone who's been rooting for Spook since day one, I was so excited with these few chapters with his POV. I hope he does great things by the end of the book.
Oh no.
I'm
If he
starting to
ends up
think he's going to be
being-
doing something.
Oh, if he does great, terrible, but great things.
Yeah, they'll be great. I think that's going to be a fact.
Oh,
Which direction? That's what I worry about for the poor guy.
yeah. Now I'm worried too. We just need someone to say, Spook, you're never gonna get the girls like that. Then he'll stop being bad. Like,
He's literally getting closer than he was before, so.
yeah, that girl's kind of a weirdo though. It's like, oh, you said you're gonna kill my brother? I like that. Like, well, not the best.
All right, and then last week's episode, we have had 3 different things so far on this place. First, once again, Adelg 8 makes me think of the age-old question: who let the dogs out? Apparently, they just escaped.
And that I just totally missed that opportunity to reference that. I feel very sad about that.
That should have been playing in the background when he said that.
I don't know about that, but
Oh my gosh. Anytime that song is used and there's like actual dogs running out, I'm like, I hate
that's how the
it.
music video was.
No, in like movies and stuff. I just hate it
That's
so
more
much.
like in trailers, right?
Yeah, I'm just like, why? Why did you do this? Why did you think this would be good? Oh man. So if they do this in the Mistborn or in the movie trilogy, I would be so I'll be like, no.
You think it's gonna be
no.
one of those kind of movies where they're playing all these classic shitty songs
Yeah.
and they're gonna pick Who Let the Dogs Out as one of them? Oh my god. Sheta, you just found the way to make the worst Mistborn adaptation possible. Oh god.
Oh man. But when they do make this movie, I will make that video with
You
the
better
this
not.
scene.
You better not.
Moving on, so we'll go to the next comment by Blue Shark 85. The idea of conservation of energy does apply to magic juice, trademark. The power lost during hemalurgy is dispersed to the wider cosmere, the same way energy is dispersed as heat.
Well, that's a little beyond us at this point. I'm
That
curious
mean,
to
Joe.
learn more.
And then one more comment from Reader Warrior.
Hey.
Uh-oh.
My guilty
Gonna
pleasure movie is Thomas and the Magic Railroad.
Oh.
And the worst MCU movie by far is Thor 4.
Oh yeah, he's right. He's right. I had forgotten that one.
I just forget that one in my head because I don't want to remember it.
I really like Gore in the comics, and then the movie
Oh, yeah.
just takes Gore the God Butcher, and he doesn't kill any gods.
That is missing.
And then the whole like,
yes,
oh no,
very much so.
Korg's dead scene, and oh no, never mind, he's alive as a face that still talks, and it's like that movie for trying to have such a dark thing with Gore the God Butcher. It was just way too much comedy for that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I could not believe he kidnaps all those children and doesn't even threaten to kill them. Like, what kind of movie is this? Also,
like,
it pisses me off because in seeing some stuff recently, I didn't remember the fucking sword he picks up in the movie. It says, go to eternity, kill all the gods. So he's actually just brainwashed. He's not even, like, doing this of his own volition, basically. It's so stupid.
Well, that is kind of the same thing in the comics, because that's the Necro Swords that ties in.
But yeah, he's corrupted by it, but it's not saying your whole plot is to go to eternity, which is the plot of that whole movie.
Yeah.
And Gore has his own hatred of the gods. In that movie, he just kills that one because it attacked him. And then the god says off screen, "You are now cursed," which is just so lame. It's just like stuff they added in post because they probably cut a scene somewhere that explained more and then just added it in.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll
that's
keep going with
so shitty.
It is.
keep going with more Reader Warrior. What makes y'all assume Ruin is picking who gets Mystic?
Yeah, we don't know.
Because
So
he's evil. Kidding.
So Sheta will defend toxic love interests, while Justin will defend horrible leaders.
What horrible leader have I defended?
Oh, please. That's like me, like, what kind of weird relationships have I supported?
From Vin and Elend's entrance to their dance, this is my favorite chapter in the book. They're trying to figure out hemalurgy and how power is lost. It's like watching your kids start learning algebra. Oh, to be that young again and go back to just knowing Mistborn.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you mean? Algebra is really hard. I'm just kidding. That's fun. It's fun to think of it that way. That we're gonna get to like what college calculus next, and then where are we gonna go?
Wait, is this leading towards gainful employment? We going to become like professors of the Cosmere?
Ooh, yes. I can't wait to be a professional.
I think there's a lot of competition for that out on the internet. Sheta.
Yeah, but we're taking the course right now, though. You know.
Yeah.
We are taking the course. We want to get our degree in. I don't know what would it be? Brandon Sanderson stuff, Cosmere stuff.
Yep, degree in Cosmere stuff. Very good.
Milan's generation has been trying altered forms and is looked down upon for it. And the last thing I'm reading...
with the okay. I was trying to figure out what the hell you just said. That was continuing the comment. Yeah.
And then the last part of his comment...
With the crystal bodies and shit that we were making fun of him for having, right?
No, that's Gen 2. Milan was like it's a younger generation. They have like the longer arms, forearms, and...
Yeah, those are the anime kids. I'm going to call them the anime kids.
The anime kids.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And then the last part of his comment, don't forget that Marsh also found the well, too.
Ooh. Ew, no, I don't want that. So scary.
That we're reading what Marsh said?
Yeah. Crazy ass Marsh. He's not supposed to survive, so that would be really weird.
All right. So then, looking forward to next week. Next week, we'll be reading just 5 chapters. Chapters 40 through 44.
Just 5. I remember when it was always 5.
Yeah, but we've done like 6 the last couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And never forget Elantris, where we were doing like 9 or 10 at the end of that book.
How could I forget Elantris? Yeah. Freaking Wraithen chapters.
All right. And then now let's go to the plugs to close this all up.
You can follow me and my various arts and comics at Profanity Beaver on Instagram, X DeviantArt, and those places. So do that, or else.
So good.
Yeah. I just got 5,000 new subscribers from that.
Wow, that's great. We haven't even posted this one yet.
Yeah, it's that fast.
You can also choose to follow me on Instagram, where I post my art as well as my cosplay and fashion stuff. But I don't know. I feel like that one's not as fun. Anyway, that is as my art.
Oh,
it's just me. It's me being like, hey, I saw Deadpool Wolverine. Like, that's not very good content. That's all.
I don't think you see what people put out and call content, Sheta.
That's true. You know what? Maybe. Yeah. Anyway, that one is at Sheta_low, SHETA_LO. And then my fashion stuff is Murray Machete, as it sounds.
All right. And then for Cosmic Chronicle stuff, if you go ahead, rate us, give us a review, all that, It helps us out, gets it out to more people. Or if you want to tell people to read it, just be or listen to us. Just be like, hey, listen to this. If you have friends that read the Cosmere, just tell them to listen to us. The more, the merrier. If you
Except that friend. We don't want that guy.
Yeah, don't pawn him off on us. Like,
Hmm. Everyone else we really want, but not him. No.
you know who it is.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep. You can if you want to follow us on like those basic social media ones, Blue Sky, Cosmic Chronicles, Key, a most ancient letter, formerly known as Twitter. We are Cosmerecron, COSMERECHRON. Or if you want to give us a longer review or comment, you can also email us, cosmicchronicles@gmail.com. Yep. And that's everything for this week. As I said, once again, chapters 40 through 44 for next week. Yep. And be sure to do your homework, everyone out there.
What? What homework?
Those chapters are the homework.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, I was a little bit like stressed out. I was like, oh my gosh, did we have
And-
another assignment?
And then also, while you're at it, maybe go and read the first couple chapters of One Piece.
No, don't do it until we've started a One Piece podcast where we pretend we've never read it before and go through.
Ooh, that would be fun. Like, oh,
No,
dang, I can't believe that happened.
Yeah, oh
no.
my god, I didn't see that coming.
Think of a poor person out there who's like, man, I love One Piece, but there's no good podcasts out there.
Sheta, we're
Everyone
talking
sucks.
about pretending to have not read it. That's not going to be a good podcast.
We don't have to
Okay.
pretend. We can just say we have read it and it's great.
Uh-huh.
Also,
All
I
right.
have not read it, watched it.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, everyone, that's our episode. Hopefully we'll see you next week, as long as none of us get kidnapped.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
psychotic Stalkerish fans, stay away. We're getting scared of you. I've been seeing you standing outside my house.
Yeah, we see you.
And we also get a bad Super Bowl this year because it's two teams that I don't want to see win.
Dang, that sucks.
I mean, now I have to root for the Chiefs just because the Eagles are playing them.
I
really
have
don't
no
want
idea
the
what the
Eagles.
hell you're talking about.
All right, that's enough. Bye.
Toodles.
Bye.